Hey, welcome back, everybody. This is Fist25. Today we are going to talk about mining heads and mining consumables for the Prospector and the Argo Mole. And we're going to talk about my understanding of them, how they work, and what I recommend for you to try. We're going to start this video right now. Okay, everybody, so you may be asking yourself, hey, this is doing a Noob's Guide to the Verse, and I know this is usually Jawa's territory, but I'm a noob too. I came into this game at 3.8, so I'm still relatively new to Star Citizen considering how many older backers are out there who have been around since 2013 or 2015 even. So I'm here to talk about kind of what I know, and my story about when I first joined, the first package that I bought and everything. I went ahead and when I first joined, I bought the Freelancer game package for my starter ship, and I thought, hey, I'm going to run cargo, and this is really cool, and I was super enthused by the commercial, and when I got the ship, it wasn't what I thought it would be. As much as I like the Freelancer, it's not my favorite cargo ship. My favorite cargo ship is the Caterpillar, and then probably the Mercury Star Runner. But I upgraded the Freelancer to a Prospector with a CCU, and I really cut my teeth in this game doing mining. Before I really did box delivery missions or cargo running or even dogfighting, which I'm into now, I really started in this game with mining for just a few months. It's how I got a lot of my first ships with in-game money. And of course, mining in 3.8 and 3.9 was quite a bit different than it is today. It's a different UI, and the lasers were different, and there was just so many different aspects to mining. I think it was a lot easier. Now it's a lot more complicated, and with the way the rocks are now and the mining lasers now and the way consumables are now, it's just a different beast. And so I wanted to go over a little bit of that and kind of let you know what I think. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about mining lasers. All right, so let's take a look at the differences between mining lasers real quick. I brought up the Argo Mole so you can see it on the screen here. With the Argo Mole, you can put size 1 or size 2 lasers on it. It doesn't matter. Obviously, if it fits a size 2, you should probably use the size 2. But if you can't afford it, then don't buy it. You can still use the size 1. So the first thing I'm going to go over is the stock laser that it comes with, and that's the Arbor MH1 size 1 mining laser. There's nothing real special about this laser. It's pretty balanced in everything it does, but we can see its stats. It has a power transfer rate of 1850, which is kind of in the middle there. But it has an extraction throughput of 0.35 standard cargo units. The bad thing about the Arbor is that it only has one consumable slot. So if you can upgrade the Arbor right away, that's a good thing. Looking at the size 2, I'm going to show you a little difference here between size 1 and size 2s. The only difference is the range. If you look at the range on the size 2, our optimal range is 60, maximum range is 300. The size 1, optimal range is 30, maximum range 150. Other than that, the statistics between a size 1 and size 2 right now in patch 3.12.1 is the range. That is it. The statistics for the power and all the other stats that the other lasers will have is going to be the same. So because I want to target this more towards Prospector or single player mining or whatever, we're just going to go over the size 1s real quick here. We already did the Arbor. Let's move on to the Helix, which is probably one of my favorite mining laser heads. The Helix is the most powerful laser that you can buy on the market today. Its optimal range is right around 37.5 up to 187 with a size 1. I think a really good range is about 70. It has the highest power transfer rate of 2300. The instability minus 30% here. What that means is that the laser will actually lower the instability of the rock by 30%. If you don't know what instability is, it's, if you've ever been out there mining, and I can only explain this by mining, and you'll probably see it later in the video, is when the throttle, when you throttle up mining, your throttle will bounce a little bit. That comes with the instability. Usually the higher the mass of the rock or the more valuable the mineral that's in there will affect the instability rating. It sort of makes sense that a bigger rock or a rock with a certain type of mineral would be more unstable. So the Helix 1 will add 30% stability to a rock. Now the next stat here is resistance. It says negative 10%. That's a good thing because resistance is the rock not absorbing energy. So if a rock has a very high resistance, it means it doesn't absorb energy from the laser very well. The laser itself here with a negative 10% resistance means it will lower the resistance of the rock just through this mining laser. And 10% is nothing to, shake a stick at. So that's a good thing. Looking at the all charge rates plus 20%, that's really good too. The all charge rate means when you're first charging the rock, when it's in the green and when it's in the red. Obviously, when it's in the green is when you crack the rock and open it and extract everything. When it's in the red, it's in overcharge, and that's a bad thing. It will also charge 20% faster while it's in the red. So keep that throttle out of the red. Keep the charge window in the green. The optimal charge window size, that's the green window. It's 15% bigger with the Helix 1. Now, the downside here of the Helix 1 is shatter damage is 50% higher, meaning if the rock overcharges and blows up, you will take 50% more damage. Also, some of the rocks blow up when, like if you crack a whole rock, some of them can just vaporize. That is also affected by shatter damage. So, again, very important that you keep the Helix 1 out of the red as much as you can. And then what I consider probably the worst stat of the Helix 1 is the throttle responsiveness delay is 50%. It's the only laser that has this statistic, and it basically means is as you finagle the throttle a little bit, there will be a delay of when your throttle adjustment actually goes into the laser. So it takes more time to finesse this laser, so you have to be really on top of this laser. The extraction throughput's really good at half a SCU per second, and it has 3 consumable slots, which is actually very important. So let's move on to another mining laser, the Hofstede. The Hofstede has a 15-meter optimal range. And this is size 1, maximum range of 75, so you got to be really close for the Hofstede. Its power transfer is 1900, which again is more than the Arbor. It's kind of in the yellow, but still not that great. I mean, when you think of the difference between 1900 and 2300, it shouldn't be that much of a deal, but it is kind of a big deal. You'll see when I get down to the Lancet how big of a deal it is. Its resistance is negative 10%, so that's good, but it's not that much. Its instability is negative 30%. Again, a good stat. It lowers the instability of the rock. Its optimal charge window is plus 10%. That's a good thing, but it's pretty low. The bad thing about the Hofstede here is the shatter damage. If you do overcharge a rock, the shatter damage is 75%, and that's not good. Also, the throttle speed is 50% less. The all charge rate is 25%, so that's really good. The extraction throughput 0.35 and only has 2 consumable slots. So I don't really see the point of having a Hofstede at all. I do not recommend this laser. It's inferior to the Helix in every way. It only has 2 consumable slots and it only pulls up extraction is the same as the Arbor. I'd rather use the Arbor. Let's go down to the Impact 1. The Impact 1 has a range of 30 to 150. Again, you got to get pretty darn close. Its power transfer is the second highest next to the Helix at 2200, so a good power transfer. However, a downside of the Impact 1 is it raises the instability of the rock by 10%. That's kind of a deal breaker for me. I do not need the throttle to be any more jumpy than what it is when it's charging a rock. One of the benefits here for the Impact is it lowers the resistance of the rock by 25%, which is pretty darn good. Its optimal charge window is 30% bigger, and its optimal charge rate, meaning when it's in the green, it'll actually charge and 20% faster when it's in the green. So that's actually a really good thing. However, another bad thing is its overcharge rate is 50% higher than 0. So that's a bad thing. If you get it into the red, it's going to go 50% faster in the red. And then the shatter damage is 75%. That is tied for the highest of all the shatter damage of all these lasers. So I don't recommend the Impact 1 because of that. And it adds instability. I don't like that. I would rather buy a Helix 1 than an Impact 1. Let's look at the Klein size 1. Klein size 1 at 30 to 150 meters. Pretty standard, it seems, for these ranges. Power transfer is 1800, so it's less than the stock Arbor 1. It does lower the resistance of the rock by 20, but it increases the instability of the rock by 20%. That's, again, kind of a deal breaker for me. It's worse than the Impact. What does it do that's good besides lowering the resistance? It has a 15% bigger optimal charge window. Its optimal charge rate is 10% higher when it's in the green. However, its overcharge rate and its shatter damage are both 75%. That's really bad. So you definitely don't want the Klein to get into the red at all. Not a good thing. And it has low power. So again, I would take the Arbor over the Klein any day. Let's look at, well, I'm going to save the Lancet for, I know the Lancet is the last one. So let's look at the Lancet, one of the lasers I do recommend. It has a short range, 30 to 150. Here we go. Power transfer. This is bad. It only has 1400. The stock laser, 1850. The Helix, 2300. The Lancet has 1400. So not a lot of power in the Lancet. However, it only has one other bad factor, and that is under the all charge rates is at negative 30%. So the Lancet is low powered, and it charges 30% slower than like a stock laser. But what does it give you? The benefits for the Lancet, and the reason I love it, is because the instability and the resistance are lowered by 75%, meaning you have much less jump with the throttle and the charging, and the beam will push more energy into the rock, 75% more than the stock Arbor, right? That's amazing. That's really, really good. 75%. It's the highest out of any of the lasers. The optimal charge window, meaning the size of the green window, is 40% bigger than stock, than standard 0. That's really good as well. That means I can get to the green faster and stay in the green longer. Well, not faster, but the green is bigger, so I can technically get there faster because it's a bigger window. And it also has negative 50% shatter damage. That's phenomenal. If you do overcharge something, you will take 50% less damage. That's fantastic. The throttle speed is also 50% higher, so your throttle will move more. It'll actually go up more as you move your mouse wheel and scroll your mouse wheel, and it reacts faster. So the throughput, sorry, I forgot to go through throughputs. Throughputs on this guy, not that it really matters, is 0.45. Consumable slots has 3, which is perfect because that's what you want, is 3. And it's right behind the Helix on the extraction. The Impact, the Klein, it's 0.35 and 2 consumable slots, again, not recommended. The Impact, it does have 3 consumable slots, and it's 0.45 on extraction. And the Hofstede, 0.35 and 2 consumable slots. So there's a quick down and dirty on the mining lasers themselves. let's go into consumables just real quick. Really, guys, you're going to have to see the chart that I'll have later on in the video, because going through these individually isn't going to do you much good. You need to compare them. So check out the timestamps. They should be pretty accurate on here to show you if you just want to skip ahead, but you're going to miss a little bit of content if you skip ahead. But if you just want the charts, feel free. And if you do that, if you do decide to skip ahead, I would appreciate a like and subscribe. A lot of work to make these videos. But let's keep going. Quick down and dirty on the consumables. First off, we have the Stampede consumable. It will raise the stability by 10%, but it also raises the charge rates of everything else by 125% in the last 60 seconds. The 4-out consumable. It will lower the resistance of the rock, but raise the instability of a rock. So kind of a mixed bag there. It's heat generation, which is how much heat your ship generates and the mining laser generates. 15% increase. It raises the EM signature of your ship by 20% in the last 90 seconds. The Surge consumable. What it will do is raise your total charge level by 40%. That means when you pop the Surge, boom, you have 40% more energy right into the target. That's a big deal because if you're using something like a Lancet, as soon as you start mining, you can pop that Surge, and instead of being at 1 or 2%, you're now 40+%. However, if you do overcharge with the Surge, you're going to overcharge 100% faster, and if the rock explodes, you're going to take 200% more damage. Something the Lancet can minimize a little bit, but still, that's a lot. So be careful using the Surge. The Torpid consumable. It has a resistance of, it'll lower the resistance by 20% to the rock, but it also lowers the time it takes to charge. All charge rates are 20% lower. That's kind of a big deal. It reduces your heat generation and your EM signature size for your ship, and it lasts 90 seconds. The Brand consumable. It lowers the stability, the instability of the rock by 75%. That's actually a really big deal. But it also lowers your charge rate by 25%, so it makes it harder to actually charge up. And it increases your heat generation and your signature size. Over in the last 90 seconds, overall, it's not like a horrible consumable. It's not bad. If you have a really unstable rock that you can't crack, definitely a good thing to use a Brand. The Rime consumable. Rime consumable, it's like a secondary consumable to the Lifeline, which is right under it. But what it's going to do is your charge window level will go down by 50%. It'll also reduce the heat generation from your ship, but it will increase the EM signature to your ship. What it is it kind of like if you're heading towards the red and it's unavoidable, you hit the Rime, and it'll lower kind of everything at one time. Reduce the chance of catastrophic explosion. But I think it's kind of pointless when I look at the Lifeline, because sometimes when you get into an explosion, the window is so short for it to overcharge and explode, also depending on what consumables you're using, that you need to pop this Lifeline consumable, which what it does is what it says. It's a Lifeline. It reduces all shatter damage by 90%, and at the same time will downsize all your charge rates by 90%. So you'll instantly be charging less, and if it does explode, you'll take 90% less damage. That's really helpful, especially with something like the Lancet. It does raise your heat generation and your signature, your EM signature, by 20% and 10, and it lasts 20 seconds. The Rime is instant, but you can only use the Rime every 30 seconds. It says within 30-second debuff. Basically, you use the Rime, and it's instant. You have to wait 30 seconds to use it again. It's the only consumable that does that. And then, last but not least, my favorite consumable, the Optimum by Greycat. What it does is it makes your charge window for the green, the optimal charge window, 75%. It raises it. It makes it 75% bigger. That's a huge deal. That means you can get into the green zone faster, and it's a bigger green zone to be in, so you can move your throttle around a little bit. It does raise the instability by 10%, but I believe that trade-off is easy for a bigger charge window. It does have a 10% heat generation, 20% bigger EM signature. The worst part about it is it only lasts for 20 seconds. So The charges are 5 per consumable slot. So there's our consumable loadout and our laser loadout. And now let's move on to the next part of the video where I actually kind of go out and mine, and then we'll get into some of the charts and then my recommendations. And thanks for watching, guys. Hey everybody, so this is Fist, still doing the mining video here. I want to give you a look at what my prospector has right now. I am headed off to Utepe, the area around Microtech, a moon for mining. You can see my prospector here has a Lancet, a size 1 mining laser with the Surge consumable, Optimum consumable, and for some reason, the last consumable didn't load, but I hit save, of course, and we're just going to see how the Surge and the Optimum work out. That's really the only two I had to have. I was going to put the Torpid in there, but it didn't work out because it didn't save, even though I have a bunch of them. My loadout is an Attrition 1 on both sides, just for safety. Snowpack Cooler, a JS400 for Power Plant, FR66 for Shields, Atlas Quantum, and we're trying the Lancet out here. So, I had someone ask me about the winds out here on Utepe, like how bad they can get, and I don't really mind out here, so we're gonna give it a shot. I think there's only a couple different places you can go on this moon, which is a little crazy. So I apologize if it's gonna be so dark here, but sometimes that helps for mining because you can see the heat of the rock a little bit better. Sometimes it's just no good, but we're going to give it a shot. We're going to see how the Lancet does. Oh, it looks like we're going to be on the light side. Maybe this moon is smaller than I thought. But we're going to head down. We're going to try to find some stuff here and see how well the Lancet mining laser does. Okay, so because I have the Lancet and it has the least amount of power generation, before I get down here and actually start my mining, I want to go up to my power window, and I'm not super concerned about the repair cost here. Oh geez, sometimes that happens. You got to turn your power off, then turn your ship back on. Then you can go in here and change some of your power settings. So I'm going to overclock my Lancet mining laser just to give me a little more power on it. And we're going to make our way down to the surface. Go to SCM. And we'll throw on our scanning mode. We'll try to find a rock and see how well we can... Oh, something right away. See how well we can crack something. Hopefully we'll get something that's pretty decent size so we can see how the Lancet works with generating. It's supposed to be smooth flow of power and better against instability and all that kind of stuff. It looks like we got 2 rocks out here. We just need to get close enough to scan them, see what kind of rocks they are. Okay. So, nice. We found some agresium. Now, it's only 2% agresium, but that's fine. We're just trying to find out how well the Lancet works here. Let's look at this other rock here. More agresium and titanium, so it's pretty much the same 2 rocks here. Now, we want to look at the rock itself. Now, as we see, our mass here is pretty low, 2884, so it's going to be pretty easy to crack. The mass on this one's a little higher, 3300, so I'm going to try this one because this should be harder. Now, the instability is 1.31, which is not like horrible, but it's not great. The power transfer resistance, so the resistance of the rock is 0.19 on this one, and on this rock it's 0.17, and it gives me optimal power window. It says 0.57, which is they're both basically just at half. So let's switch over to mining mode. You can see we're 142 meters. We really need to get into somewhere between 50 and 70. We get right around 60. I think this is about good. Let's crank up our... Oh, geez. Our consumables are offline. Let's get them going back on. Okay, there we go. Oh, no, they still say offline. I don't know if that's going to matter. So you see our instability at 0.13, and we're getting blown around quite a bit by the winds here. That's okay. So let's take our laser up to about 50. And you can see we're not making any dent here in the rock. And this is probably the downside of the Lancet, is the lower power transfer, even though it's overclocked. You can see our charge level is just not really moving. And we're 37 meters to the rock. So let's crank it up to 100 and see what we get. It's just such a tight focus beam. Now you can see how the meter jumps a little bit over there on the charge level. That's that instability, which is in the green. It's actually pretty darn good. So I don't think I should have to use a consumable at all to crack this rock, because it's moving up nice and good. And we're going to wait till it gets about there, and we're going to start reducing our charge even lower. Keep it in the green. I'm at 50%. And we're really, really good here with the Lancet. We're going to have no problem cracking this rock at all. We're not going to get anywhere near the red here, as we're just going to keep lowering the power. And boom, crack the rock, no consumable needed. Okay, so let's scan the individual pieces here. We got some aluminum, mostly inert. Of course, you know not to pick up inert. There's our greasium. Okay, not bad stuff in there. This guy. Mostly garbage. There's like a rock under the rock, which I hate. That's that. It's titanium and aluminum. We're not going to go for that. This guy, 2% of greasium. Not super nice, but we're going to crack this rock. Let's see how the Lancet. I think a big benefit of the Lancet is going to be doing these smaller rocks, just because it's so much smoother with the power transfer, and it doesn't take as much, obviously, to crack the smaller rocks. And having that better instability is just overall better. Now, when we get to the big rocks, I think that'll even prove more true, because it's going to be such a tighter green window. So, even though I love the Helix, I might have to move over to the Lancet. Let's see what kind of... 14% of greasium is definitely worth it. See, it actually, I'm moving a little bit because of the wind here. I never mind on this moon, so it's kind of crazy. Nice smooth charge. Look at that. It just, I mean, it jumps a little bit, but really not that bad at all. You just keep it in that green zone there. It's nice and smooth with the Lancet. Might just have to move on to another rock, because there really isn't much of a challenge on this one. It does take longer to actually charge the rock. But I think I'd rather have it take longer than have it be jumpy. That's my personal opinion. So, okay, so now we're at a rock that mass is 5113. So we might actually have to use a consumable. It's a little bit higher of a mass. You can see the instability is significantly higher from 0.3 to like 0.8. So it's in the red. The power transfer rate is looks like 0.19 there. Hard to see. Wish I had a drop shadow, CIG. Optimal power window is 0.54. The wind is just pushing me around. But let's go ahead and give it a charge. Oh. But we're at 47 meters. We're going to keep working on this rock here. Let's crank our laser all the way up to 100. See if we can make any type of heat generation. We're getting a little bit. Not that much. Let's see if we can get a little bit closer. It's pretty hard to stay level here. I forget who had the comment of Uterpe having issues with wind, but you are 100% right. Oh, okay. So I'm gonna have to fly. There's a torque imbalance, probably because I landed funny and took damage. Even though I look okay. I'm going to have to manage my throttle and the charge laser at the same time. Now you can see with an overclocked laser, hey, I'm up to like half on this rock. And we're talking about almost a 6,000 mass rock with Lancet. So you see how the generation, it's nice and smooth. Now here's my chance to use my my surge. Let's see what happens. Let's hope we don't blow up. So, boom, adjusting the surge. Wow, I went way too fast. Let's see. I just lowered the power. And I'm going to put it back up. Now, it went into the red, but then it came out of the red. So I did use the surge. Let's hope our optimals is able to charge this thing. Yeah, we have enough time here on the consumable. 1, 0, and hey, what do you know? We cracked this rock, guys. 6,000 mass with the Lancet. That's a big rock to crack. And maybe I waited too long to use a surge. I should have used it when I was a little bit lower, and I wouldn't have gotten into the red, but it came out of the red really fast. So this guy is barrel. Let's see what the rest is. I do want to, make a little money, right? Not much Terranite in that one. How much is in this guy? Not a whole lot. Fighting the wind and fighting the rest of this stuff is not a whole lot of fun. I don't think I'd recommend mining on this moon. But, maybe there's some kind of big quantanium deposits or something. Usually CIG has it, the more challenging of a place, the higher reward. But maybe not with this rock. Looks like this rock is pretty worthless. But hey, we did show that we can mine a 6,000 pound rock. Now, can we do an 8,000 pound rock? That's the real question. Let's find another rock. Ooh, my thruster overheated. There we go. There's a couple more. So, I mean, 6,000 pound rocks that's pretty good. One search consumable. Oh man, we found the Quantanium, guys. We found the Quantanium. We'll have to see what the power window of this one is. 5% Quantanium. And this guy is probably also Quantanium. 31% Quantanium. So we're definitely going to mine these rocks. You look at the instability is 6.71. That means this thing is going to be jumping around like crazy. Good thing we have a Lancet on here for the mining laser. If we look at the resistance, this one is just under 0.39, which isn't too bad. Instability at 3, but also the Quantanium on this guy is less at 5%. Quantanium on this guy at 31% is significantly more. This rock is a really nice rock. Resistance is 0.6, which means it's 60% resistant. That's actually pretty darn high. But we also get to fight the wind while we're doing this. So it's gonna be difficult, to say the least, as we're going against the wind. Let's go ahead, let's do it. It's a challenge, right? Let's see what we got. Now, we're not going to suck up Quantanium until we're ready to leave, because it's volatile and it'll blow you up. Keep it in your ship too long. But look how small that optimal window is. That's really, really, really small. It's a good thing we have the optimum consumable. Look how big the red zone is. So I'm immediately going to use a surge. Boom. Look at that. We're going to use optimum if we can. We're going to reduce the power, hopefully. Reduce the power. Get out of that red zone. Oh, it's going to blow. It's going to blow. Don't blow up my ship. Don't blow up my ship. Ooh, see, I was able to get out of the way, but we lost a lot of the rock, unfortunately. We take damage? We're okay. We're okay. You saw how fast, how powerful that was? There's a little bit of a delay there. I think a little bit of desync, and we lost some rock. But that guy's still 56% Quantanium. This guy's probably Quantanium as well. Nope, no Quantanium, but it's aluminum. Because we're going to take Quantanium, we're going to go ahead and crack every rock here. We're going to suck up everything we can, starting with Quantanium first. Okay. I couldn't help that one, guys. Best I could have done was turn off the mining laser, but it was in overload. I could have used... Gosh darn. I could have used a... like a rhyme consumable right there. I wasn't too worried about the lifeline because I was so far back, but a rhyme consumable would have helped there. 3% this thing is starting to crack at, even though it's a piece of rock. No, it's not what I want. Come on, desync. No, don't go crazy here. So unfortunately, even if I don't fill up my cargo, I'm going to have to go back because it's Quantanium. So notice the instability on this one, even though it's a piece of rock, is 2.05. So still pretty high instability. Okay, I don't know what happened with that. Some kind of weird desync or something like that. Come on, be stable. I'm going to inject an optimum in here so I can just have a bigger charge window. So 56% Quantanium, we want to take that home. Ah, she got into the red. You see the instability and how important it is. We're going to take our mining laser off. It's not worth losing it, you know what I mean? We'll keep power on it, though. Here we go. We'll climb back in there. Maybe we can do it without getting into the red. We're 52 meters. Maybe we should go farther back. Now, I have a good friend of mine who says, hey, I don't use consumables at all because I'm that good of a miner, but the way everything's changed with mining, it's harder than it used to be. I'm going to use a consumable. And it is what it is. I think at this point, like having something to boost your charge rate would be helpful with the optimum consumable. Because I'm constantly having to feather here. As you can see, we're about to crack it. Come on, baby, don't get in the red. No, stay out of the red. Nothing I can do at that point, guys. We lost one of the rocks. They flew away. But, you know, such is life when you're mining. Let's see what this guy is. I'm not going to extract it. 100% quantanium on that. It's not that big. This one is 100% quantanium. Again, not that big. This guy is mostly beryl and aluminum, but no inert. So this, I mean, overall, this is a good rock. We're going to suck up all of it, starting with quantanium, but after we crack this rock. So let's try to do this one without a consumable if we can. Actually, I'm going to do a surge right away. Okay, you saw how fast that came up, and it just saves us time here. Now, because it's less quantanium, there's a lot less resistance, and it's less unstable, so it's going to be easier to crack. It's, you know, it's a mini game within the game. And that's one of the cool parts. So, definitely with the Helix, everything would have been faster. But the Lancet seems to be a bit more stable. And overall, I'm taking less shatter damage, even when that rock blew. So that's a good thing. So we're going to crack all these rocks just because they have quantanium in them. We'll take the biggest quantities first. So I think using the Lancet, I would love to have a consumable that increased my charge rate. But I'm not sure I want to do that at the expense of stability. This window's pretty small because it's 9% quantanium. So should be able to stay out of the red zone, hopefully. Because it's a smaller rock, it requires less charge. And keep in mind, my mining laser is overcharged. It's all about feathering. If you can see, my throttle here is at 2%, it's going down. Raising it up to 9, which is just a couple mouse wheels. Keeps it right in that range where it should be. So 8% quantanium, pretty good. We're gonna pull up the prospector. We're going to. Where's it at? This prospector. We're actually going to change out the Lancet with the Helix 1. We're going to see basically the difference if we can. Now, I don't need the Stampede. Well, I'm sorry, I don't need the Surge consumable with the prospector because that laser charges up way faster. But I definitely am going to use an Optimum consumable. I'm not going to use the Lifeline. I'm not going to use the Rhyme. The Brant would help, probably. just because the brand helps with the instability. But let's see what else we got. I don't necessarily want to use the torpid with this. I definitely don't want to use the surge. The referral, which gives me a little more instability but less resistance. Ooh, I don't know. The charge rates would definitely help. I don't know. I just don't know if I want everything jumping around. They jump around enough with the Helix. I don't know if I want everything else jumping around. But I think I'm going to go with 2 optimums, just to give me more optimums, more chances here to do everything. And instead of using the surge, maybe I will use the stampede to give me a higher charge rate, which means if I use the optimum to get into the green zone, it will actually charge faster and I can have less of a throttle, so instability wouldn't hurt me as much. Let's try that out. And as for propulsion, yeah, let's get this thing a faster quantum drive, everybody. I'm still probably going to overcharge my laser, but let's see if everything actually saves. Last time, not all my consumables saved, even though it said it did. So we're going to try that, and I'll see you on the next one. Alright guys, so here we are on aerial, and I know the sun's going down, what a beautiful sight it is, but we're going to crack this rock. Remember, we have the Helix 1 on here, and I have 2 optimum consumables and a stampede consumable. And so, look at this rock, it's not that big, it's only 2561, but it does have 3% terranite in it, so we're just going to crack it. We're not super concerned about what's in there. You can look at the instabilities, 1.19, not bad at all. Resistance is low at 0.2. So we're going to go ahead and start our laser off. Now remember, the Helix, unlike the Lancet, has a lot more power. So let's crank this up to 50. And compared to the Lancet, it's charging much faster. Now I'm going to just go ahead and do the stampede. You're going to see it's going to charge. See, it's charging much faster. We're moving up quite a bit faster, but I'm going to go ahead and increase the charge rate. Now, we increased some bad things using the stampede, but that's okay. Okay, so now we're in the optimal range. We're going to throttle back a little bit. We still have a good 30 seconds on the stampede. Do you see how fast the green cracked? Now, it shouldn't have blown apart like that, but I think it did that because we used the stampede. So let's see if we can get any terranite out of this guy. Okay, everybody, so here we are. It's a little bit dark out here. We're at a 5,700, almost 6,000 mass rock. And while it doesn't have great stuff, it has a little bit of X-Light, we're going to go ahead and crack it, just to crack it, right? We'll see what the Helix 1 can do against this type of rock. Okay. Oh, we're in extraction mode. Here we go. Here's fracture mode. Sometimes I like doing this at night because you can see the laser better, and you can see the rock better with the heat that builds up. Let's get our charge level up. Let's take it to 100%. We're 55 meters away from it. you see it's charging pretty slow. So let's go ahead and use our consumable, our Stampede. You can see our charge. It looks like it's going up a little faster. Sometimes you gotta find that sweet spot of the rock and move your laser around. Pretty high mass rock. And this could be a case where you almost want to use a surge just to get up there real quick. We're approaching the green zone. The rock is starting to heat up. I'm going to go ahead and use an optimum just to increase our green zone. Now we're cracking the rock. This is really where the Stampede helps out because we charge faster. All right, and we cracked this rock, and it didn't go crazy flying away. I'm gonna turn our lights on. And that's because our Stampede was used up. So I'm actually not gonna collect anything with this guy because it really has nothing good. Let's see if we can crack an even higher rock if we can find one. All right, everybody, this is Fist back here with my PowerPoint overview. This is my cheat sheet for mining lasers and consumables, both size 1 and size 2 lasers, and this is going to be available on Google Drive, so see the link in the description below. And without further ado, let's get on to it. Alright, so looking at the mining cheat sheet for size 1 mining laser, we can see the goods and the bads here. I put the good things in green and the bad things in red. I also marked the items that had the best good things with a gold star and the best, or I guess the worst bad things with a big red thumbs down. So there are a couple yellows in there, which is just kind of negligible or in between. So as we look at the arbor size 1, really everything is 0. It's very balanced and even. But the power 1850, it's you know, somewhere in the middle. That's the default laser that comes on the Prospector, and for the Mole, the size 2s, it is also the size 2 arbor is the default laser for all 3 lasers. Going to the ones I'm not going to recommend, the Hofstad size 1. It has the best all charge rate, so as you're mining, it's tied for the best for charging. So as you're building that mining laser up, the charge rate is tied with the Helix size 1 for the best all charge rate. It has the worst shatter damage, so while you are able to charge up the rock faster, if it does blow up, it will be the worst blow up. It'll do more damage than any other laser. The impact size 1, there's no reason to use it. There's definitely nothing super special about it. It does actually have really good power. It's right next there to the Helix, but it also causes the rock to be more unstable. It has a pretty good resistance buff, making the rock absorb energy better, but making it more unstable is just not a good thing. If you do ever get into the red zone with an impact size 1, it's going to charge the red 50% faster, and it does 50% more shatter damage if the rock does blow up. However, it does have a big 30% optimal charge window size, so you should be able to keep it fairly in the green. The Klein size 1 I do not recommend. It has fairly low power. It's even lower than the stock laser. It raises the instability of the rock without doing much more for the resistance. It has the worst instability, and it has the worst catastrophic charge rate. So if you get it into the red, it's going to go real quick. It also has the it has bad shatter damage. It's not the worst, but it's still pretty bad. It's 50% extra shatter damage. And the only real benefit you get is lower resistance and a full charge window size of 15%, which is just all around. Line is not a good laser. Now, the two lasers I am going to recommend, you'll see it at the end, is the Lancet size 1. While it does have the least amount of power, and it does have a negative on the charge rate, meaning it's slow to charge, but it will charge. It's just slower. It does have the best buff for instability and resistance into the rock. So I mean that's 75% from both of them, which means your meter's not going to jump around all kinds of crazy, and the rock's going to absorb your energy better. It also has the best optimal charge window size. Just by using that laser, your charge window is going to be, for the green, is going to be 45% bigger. And it has the best anti-shatter damage. So if the rock does blow up, you'll take 50% less damage. So I definitely recommend the Lancet size 1 with the correct consumables. Now, the laser I use and will continue to use, just because I'm more about speed, is the Helix size 1. It has the most power out of any mining laser. It has a pretty good instability at negative 30%. It'll reduce the rock's instability. It'll also reduce the rock's resistance to 10% less. It has tied for the fastest all charge rate, so it actually charges up faster. Its optimal charge window size is also 15%. It does have the worst throttle response delay, meaning as you change your throttle before that energy increase or decrease hits the rock, there is a delay, and it's the worst out of all the lasers. And if you do overcharge your rock, you're going to take 50% more shatter damage. So you got to be real careful of how you finesse the Helix size 1. But as far as the Helix goes, it should be able to crack, and I have yet to met a rock I can't crack with it. You might have to use consumables, but it should be able to crack all the rocks. As we talk about the size 2 mining lasers, there is no difference in the statistics for the size 2 mining lasers. The only difference is the range of the lasers for almost everything is basically doubled. If the range there for the Lancet is 30 meters, you can now effectively use that laser at 60 meters. Same goes with the Klein, same goes with the Arbor. Everything is, rule of thumb, all the ranges are doubled, both the minimum and the maximum range. That is the only difference in the size 2 mining lasers. Okay, now looking at the mining cheat sheet for consumables. I don't want to go through all of this, but maybe I should. Let's look at the brand consumable. What it's going to do for you. Its instability is 75% less. So it'll decrease the stability of the rock. I'm sorry, the instability of the rock by 75%. That's a really good thing. However, by doing that, it'll also decrease the charge rate. So as you're charging up, yeah, it may be more stable, but you're going at 25% less charge rate. It does increase I figured out what heat generation and signature size do. Right now, the heat generation statistic is how much heat the mining head actually puts out, and it affects the IR, the infrared signature of your ship. So the brand adds 10% to that. Which as you're heating up a rock, that could play a factor in actually making it go faster to heat up. And if you're trying to slow it down, that also may make it worse. The signature size is all about the ship's electromagnetic signature. Most miners I know do not care how much EM or IR they put out because they're going out there mining. However, if you kind of want to stay off the radar, in stealth mine, I guess, you might want to look at the bottom consumable, the torpid, because it reduces both head heat and ship IR and the ship's EM. But that is basically what the brand consumable does. It does last 90 seconds, which is tied with 2 other consumables for the longest. The 4L consumable, it does add some instability to mining, to the rock. It adds heat and it adds ship's signature EM. However, it lowers the resistance of the rock by 20%, which will make the energy get absorbed faster into the rock. So if you can take the instability change and a little bit of wildness with the ability, you'll do better with the 4L being able to mine faster. The lifeline consumable is exactly what it says. It's all about a lifeline. Its whole purpose in life is to protect your ship when things are going to blow up. Last for 20 seconds, so you can hit it before anything blows up, assuming it's going to. I don't use it anymore. I used to use it all the time. I just didn't use it, so I stopped wasting a slot on it. But it will drop your charge rates down by 90%. Same with the shatter damage. It'll drop by 90%. Heat generation will go up, and signature size for your ship will also go up with the lifeline. With the Optimum, which I think is the must-have consumable in the game. Everybody should be using Optimum. I don't care if you put all 3 slots at Optimum. You should be using the Optimum for a consumable. It's the most expensive. It's also the most worth it. Now, it does add 10% instability, and it adds a little bit of heat, and it adds EM signature. However, the Optimum will change the size of your charge window, the green window, adding 75% more green to the window. So you could effectively charge, get into the green before you normally would. That means you can mine faster and you have less risk of blowing yourself up or overcharging or something like that. So I highly recommend the Optimum. It lasts 30 seconds. The Rime consumable, it will reduce your heat. It will increase your ship's EM the most. But basically what it really does is it lowers the charge window level by 50%. So that's a little bit confusing, I guess. The text is from CIG is it reduces the chance of a catastrophic explosion by using the Rime consumable to dissipate heat and improve a deposit's stability. I don't see anything in here where it actually fixes stability. That's not part of the stat, but it'll reduce the charge window level by 50%. So it's basically a lifeline, but it doesn't do anything. Like if you're gonna get into the red and you know you're gonna get into the red, you can pop a Rime and hopefully get back to mining before you don't think you're going to explode or anything. I don't recommend the Rime. The Stampede consumable, it raises the instability of the rock by 10%. However, it also raises all the charge rates by 125%, and that's a pretty darn big number. I do recommend the Stampede if you want to mine faster. However, it comes at a cost of stability, and that could be a bad thing. It depends on how much what the instability of the rock is and what kind of laser you're using. If you're using a laser that doesn't decrease or increase stability, and then you're at a rock that's also pretty unstable, that thing could surge and spike like crazy. But you will charge faster. Looking at the Surge consumable, which is definitely one I recommend for the Lancet mining laser. What it'll do is it gives you 40% more charge when you use it. What does that mean? It means as soon as you pop a surge, wherever you are at, say you're 10% up on the charge rate on the UI, it'll pop up to 50 immediately. It gives you a 40% boost of total charge. You don't even have to wait for it, just 40% more. So you got to be careful, especially if you're multiplayer mining. Two people are on the same rock and they pop surge, each of them. Now you're immediately 80% plus whatever you were at before. So you can easily overcharge a rock. I definitely recommend using it in single player mining if you're really low or you just, you need an extra boost to get up there. It does come with a cost. That is, if you overcharge a rock, your shatter damage is 200% higher. That could blow up your ship. But stay out of the red, use the consumable smartly and you'll be fine. Something else to keep in mind, though, if you do get into the red, it will charge 100% faster. So double the speed for the red catastrophic charge rate when using the surge consumable. And the last consumable on the list is the torpid. What the text says from CIG is that it allows the operator more precise power adjustments for 30 seconds to find the deposit's weak spot, but it slows the charge rate in the process. So as we can see on the screen, it slows the charge rate by 20% in all three categories: catastrophic, in the green zone, and not, just getting up to it. It does lower heat generation and signature EM, and it does lower the rock's resistance, so it allows the rock to take more energy. However, when it does that, it also reduces the charge rate. So I guess it'll allow you to fine tune the throttle a little bit. But I don't necessarily recommend it at this point. So let's move on to what Fist actually is going to recommend for single player and or multiplayer mining, with my recommendation of what laser to use and what consumables to use. Okay, so let's take a look at what I recommend personally. And by the way, guys, this is just my opinion from me being out there mining, especially in patch 3.11, 3.12, when the statistics change for the lasers and the consumables. What I recommend, especially for a prospector, is either a size 1 Helix or a size 1 Lancet. With the Helix, you get the most power, you get a drop, a buff in instability, in resistance, it charges faster, and your optimal charge window size is a little bit better. However, you do lose some of your throttle response, and you will take more shatter damage if the rock explodes. For consumables, I recommend 2 Optimums and 1 Stampede for the Helix size 1. Stampede will help bump up that charge rate, and then as you get close, if you need to use the Optimum, bam, pop the Optimum, and you're cracking that rock in no time. What I think I'm going to start using personally is the Lancet size 1. Now, it does have significantly less power, so I might not be able to crack that 8,000 mass rock by myself, but who knows? I might be able to. The power is the lowest. However, it has the best instability and resistance buffs for any of the mining heads. Its charge rate is a little bit lower, which if you get into the green, that sucks because you want to charge faster. But I think it's something I can play with the throttle. The charge window size, however, is bigger, so you should be able to get into the window faster. And if you do happen to explode, you'll take 50% less damage. The consumables for the Lancet that I recommend is 1 Optimum, just in case you need it to increase the size of that charge window even more. 1 Surge, which will pop you up 40% immediately. So because the Lancet is so slow to charge up the rock, the Surge should get you almost halfway there instantly. And then the 4L, which I meant to put it on the ship earlier, I think, and I wasn't able to. But the 4L gives the rock that unique tremor, reducing the resistance of the rock, but it does increase the instability a little bit. which I think it's okay because the Lancet is so good with instability. I'm willing to lower the resistance and the ability for the rock to take more energy, even if that throttle flickers a little faster. So that is my recommendation. Again, I'm going to put this into the description, and I'll link it to as pictures for Google Drive. So if you want, you can print these out and have them handy, or just maybe save them to a folder or something and refer to them if you want. I got this data on many different sources, so thank you to Star Citizen Tools, Star Citizen Wiki, my personal experience, and actually Test Squadron is a fantastic mining guide for 3.12. I don't know if they've done any videos on it, but they have a really fantastic guide, and I'll try to link that guide into the description below for their website. So anyway, guys, that is the mining laser head and consumable video here. I want to thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit like and subscribe. We definitely could use the subscribers as we're trying to get more of our videos out there, and who knows, maybe we'll actually get monetized one day and we'll be able to pass videos along to you, or I'm sorry, pass a redo that. Well, that's it for the mining cheat sheet. Please redo that. Hey guys, so thank you for watching the video. I want to really thank Jawa Sparky for kind of pushing me on to get some of this done. And if you enjoyed the video, please hit the subscribe button down below. As we get more subscribers, and if we ever become monetized, it's just going to help us help you, right? We're going to be able to take some of that money and throw it back into the game and to our viewers in our community, and do some ship giveaways and other cool things. If we do get a decent YouTube following, our plan is to do more live streams and just carve out more time out of our day to be able to interact with you and play with you guys in Star Citizen. So please like, subscribe, and have a great day mining. Good night, Stanton.